Hey, what's up, everyone? Sly here with Flo. And so, Flo, it ain't over with the hate with Nick Wright. He's out there on Dan Patrick's show. You guys don't know, Dan Patrick used to be a legend back in ESPN back in the day, the anchor. And I guess he's really good friends with Dan Patrick now. So Nick Wright's out there, and he has some things to say, obviously, about Brock Purdy, kind of talking about that, and then talking about how kind of the Niners are kind of whining about a few things. Let's check this out real quick, and we'll talk about it.
How do they lose this Super Bowl?
McCaffrey just gouges them, and the Niners are able to take advantage of the Chiefs' tackles. The McCaffrey, listen, the Chiefs have the best pair of corners in football. Spagnuolo is maybe the best defensive coordinator in football, certainly on the short list. He's definitely the number one coordinator draft pick because, unfortunately for him, his head coaching tenure went so bad. No matter how well he does, he'll never get another head coaching job, so you don't have to worry about him leaving like Mike McDonald in Baltimore. But Nicky Bosa is Nicky Bosa. Chase Young decides this will be the game a month. He gives full effort for 4 quarters, and they beat up the tackles. And listen, the Niners are already pre-complaining. They're already, they hold a lot. Jed York, what do you remember about the Super Bowl? Oh, an uncalled holding penalty. All this pre-complaining, I've heard it all year long. Nobody wants to know the facts. Nobody wants to know that in these NFL playoffs, 2 touchdowns have been taken off the board due to penalty. They're both Chiefs touchdowns on nonsense fake holding penalties. Nobody wants to hear the facts that the Chiefs this year had the second fewest penalties called on their opponents. Everybody is mad about a Super Bowl holding call because Love Fox, we showed a bad angle on the first go round, and then after the game, the guy who did the hold was like, "Yeah, I held," and people are still like, the fix is in. It's all nonsense. So I get it. They're trying to prime the officials prematurely. I understand. These are the things you do when you're trying to, stop a dynasty, which is what this is, of course, a dynasty.
Are you prepared for what the reaction would be if Brock Purdy leads the Niners to the Super Bowl?
Well, hold on.
And win.
Am I prepared for what the reaction will be if the Niners win? Sure.
Yeah.
Am I prepared for what the reaction will be for Brock Purdy leading them to a win?
Yes.
I'm not prepared for the reaction I would have if you sprouted wings and flew far, far away. No, I don't spend a lot of time emotionally preparing myself for things that aren't going to happen. But they could listen. The Niners could win, obviously. Listen, the Chiefs are the underdogs for the 5th time in their last 6 playoff games. Nobody believes in this team. They shouldn't even be there. I watch smart people on television going into the playoffs doing a scariest AFC teams. And obviously the Ravens were 1 because of their great postseason history. And obviously the Bills were 2 because of their great postseason history. And people can say it's a straw man now, but you all know you saw it. You know who came in 3rd on a lot of those lists? Not the Chiefs, not even the Dolphins, the Cleveland Browns. Remember that bill of goods? Oh, nobody wants to play Joe Flacco. Playoff Flacco and that defense. We were told that team was scarier than Patrick Mahomes with the best defense in football. That's the nonsense that was spouted all year. And then I just sat there and was right, and people called me a homer because I happened to go to the parade, and you know what I mean? I mean, kind of be a, unofficial member of the team, but that's just a good fortune.
All right, man. So, obviously, he's not worried about Brock Purdy at all. He's more worried about Christian McCaffrey. But I thought the thing that stood out to me, man, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's always taking a damn shot. Pretty much saying he's not, it's like Brock Purdy does not scare him, and he doesn't think about stuff like that. Like if Dan Patrick goes out, get wings and starts flying away, he doesn't think like that. If it just doesn't happen, it's not going to happen. So what do you think about this, man? He's doubling down. You got to give him credit, though. At least he's sticking true to his guns. He's writing this whole thing out. But what do you think, man?
Yeah, man, I figured he was going to be sticking to his guns. So I give Nick Wright the credit in that sense. But, man, this guy is wrong. He's pretty much just saying that the only way for us to win is if Christian McCaffrey pretty much touches the ball in every possession, which is a good thing for us. Obviously, if Christian McCaffrey, because their run defense is so horrible, we obviously have to have a big dose of Christian McCaffrey, and he's just been our workhorse this whole entire year. So, obviously, don't go away from that Kyle Shanahan. Mm-hmm. Sometimes he does do that in these big games.
Yeah.
He'll not run him in the second half for whatever reason it is. We need a heavy dose of Christian McCaffrey, no matter what. But as far as Nick Wright pretty much saying Brock Purdy, he's not afraid of him, all right, just remember that. Remember that when the 4th quarter comes along and this guy starts doing his thing, when he starts doing that Purdy magic pretty much, where he just starts balling out and he just figures out the game, you know. So Nick Wright is gonna have to remember that. Another thing that was pretty big on this was what's the thing he said
about the holding calls?
The holding calls, yeah.
Jed York and Bosa are crying.
It's smart by Nick Bosa and Jed York, because the last time we played them, that ended up coming back and haunting us, because Nick Bosa was getting held a lot in that Super Bowl in 2019.
3rd and 15.
3rd and 15. They were holding this guy, maybe because he was a rookie at the time. They didn't give him that call, but I think it's smart that Nick Bosa is already putting into the ears of these referees, like, hey, like, this team holds a lot. Like, I understand that they cry a lot for their calls, and they get them. Remember Patrick Mahomes after, what was it, that Bills game, where he started crying. Then after that, it seemed like they started getting all the calls again back in their favor. So it's a smart thing. It's a veteran thing. It's part of the game, but you could tell Nick Bosa is becoming more of that veteran presence, where he's like, hey, you guys better be looking at this come game day, because I don't want to be held the whole entire time. What do you think, man?
Yeah, man. I think that was smart, too, because those guys do hold. They lead the NFL in holding. So, I mean, I know it's Bill Vinovich, the head referee, the same referee from the Super Bowl. So I was like, damn it. But it's smart, dude. I remember, I don't want to go off on tangent, but I remember back in the day, remember Phil Jackson, the game before, if there wasn't calls, he would mention that in the game before, and then he would actually get the calls on the next game. So it's kind of smart, man. It's kind of like that Zen. What do they call him? The Zen Master.
Zen Master.
So that's
kind of like planning in their head.
Exactly. You're planning in their head, and you know they're listening to it. So hopefully that works out. But going on to Nick Wright, man. Damn it, man. It seemed like this week on his show, it was like, all right, he's kind of like laid down. He said he's impressed with Purdy with things. But then he comes back and says this, man. I don't think about you flying, Dan. I don't think about you flying away with your wings. So I'm not thinking about Brock Purdy. That's like the least thing. So it would be so much poetic justice if Brock Purdy is the man this game and, you know, ends up being the MVP of the league. That would just be perfect, because this guy right here has been hating on Brock Purdy so much. And he's kept going, you know. Obviously, we know what happened with the 49ers YouTube content craze, where they kind of stopped, you know. But this guy right here, he's going, man. He's like the head of the whole, he's the head of the crew, man. And he's out there saying his stuff, and I kind of do, I guess, respect it a little bit, because, you know, he's not backing down. Like, he's still going, staying the course. I kind of wish that some of these Niner content creators would do the same thing, because all the stuff that they were saying in the offseason about Brock Purdy, which was absolutely insane to me. But, I mean, I feel that he's going to eat his crow, man. This is one of the biggest things out there, the biggest indictments that you could have from a big mainstream media guy, you know, because you obviously, I'm trying to think, maybe Skip Bayless is one of those guys that kept saying something about like how, who was it, that Johnny Football was going to be this great big thing, and he just kept going on and on and on and on. And finally, you know, he just had I was wrong. Like, that was just a huge indictment. Kind of people, kind of like, oh, dude, Skip, he's just a crazy old dude. That could be Nick Wright, man. If he's wrong here, it could be the same exact thing, because if you're wrong about this, man, a dude that actually wins a Super Bowl MVP, then oh my gosh, like, all credibility is kind of gone. It's kind of, I don't know, because Skip Bayless, he's someone that hates LeBron James, and, you know, we're never gonna give him his kudos, and he kind of sounds crazy. I know a lot of people don't like LeBron, and I get it, but you have to at least acknowledge that this guy is a great player. If this happens where Brock Purdy wins a Super Bowl, I mean, it's going to be kind of in that same situation where, like, okay, he's just talking noise. Like, who's the one that said you're just noise, you're just white noise? Someone we just did a video on said that's how it is. It could have been Brian Baldinger, but that's what it is, man. It's kind of your white noise. When you talk like that, you make such a big statement. And I get it that FS1, their numbers are up as heck. And it has to do a lot to do. Who's the number one topic? It's Brock Purdy, man. Brock Purdy is ratings at this right now. This moment, it seems like he has this big following, people that believe in him. But then there's this other group that just can't stand him for some damn reason, and it makes good TV, I guess. But yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting. Hopefully, and I think we will pull it off. I think that this is a tough test, because he's going up against no scrubs. This defense actually is, I think, number 2 overall behind the Ravens. So, I mean, it's going to be a big-ass test, man, to see if we could get it going. And if we win this game, going up and beating this great defense in the Chiefs, oh, man, I mean, you can't write a better ending. I know Kurt Warner's ending was absolutely amazing, but this dude lit it. I think Kurt Warner, he lit it up in the Arena Football League, and then where else did he play? Not the Canadian either. That was Jeff Garcia, but another league. He tore it up. Brock Purdy, last pick in the draft, man. So It should be amazing.
And think about it, not taking away from Kurt Warner's Super Bowl. He played that the Titans team that pretty much didn't have, like, they shouldn't have been there that year, you know? We're playing Patrick Mahomes, obviously with his best defense ever, and then Patrick Mahomes, he's that FS1, Nick Wright poster boy too. So that's going to add on top of that. Not only are you playing a great defense, but you're playing a great quarterback too. So if he goes out there, outduels Patrick Mahomes, beats that number one guy, because what was that old saying? To be the man, you gotta beat the man.
That's Ric Flair, man.
Ric Flair. So Brock Purdy, he's going to have to go do that, make Nick Wright pretty much, like you said, eat crow, eat his words. Because at the end of the day, you've been saying it. What have you been saying the whole year?
Judgment Day is coming.
Judgment Day is coming, right?
Yeah, this is it right here. The last week of the season, and oh man, it's all come down to this. And I know Nick Wright, man. He's sticking to his guns, and he, at the end of the day, man, I don't think it's gonna happen. But all he's waiting for is for him to turn into a pumpkin. You know, that's all he's waiting for. And if somehow Brock Purdy does, then he could just say, "Hey, I was right. I told you guys all along." But dang, man, I just do not want that to happen. I really want this kid to get it because he's such a great kid, such a humble dude. He doesn't let anything affect him. He's never once ever went out there and bashed Nick Wright about anything, you know. I know all these other guys. I know these other quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, Cam Newton back in the day, Colin Kaepernick back in the day. They would call these media guys by name. Brock Purdy's not like that. So, man, it just shows you what a humble dude he is. And if he could do this, man, oh, man, he's not even going to rub it in. It's going to be us fans that are the ones that are going to be going after Nick. Brock Purdy doesn't give a darn, man. He's like, whatever, I don't care. I just want to win this Super Bowl. So, we'll see, man. Judgment Day is coming in about 1 week. So, can't wait, man. Get your popcorn ready.
All right, well, you guys let us know in the comments what you guys think about Nick Wright's most recent take. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. See y'all next time.
Peace.